The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, released in May 1st of 2002 and directed by Todd Howard, as we all know and love him now. So it's been 22 years since the game has came out, so it's a bit of an old but gold one. In fact, I was about 5 years old when this game came out, and aptly I played it when I was about 10. And as far as I got in my first playthrough of Morrowind as a wee little 10-year-old boy, I made it to Balmora, and I talked to Kydius, and I joined the Fighters Guild and killed, like, a rat, and then the rat killed me, the other second rat, and then I kind of gave up. So going back and replaying it as an adult now, I kind of realized I missed out on a lot as a child, but I am proud I made it that far without any type of assistance, because Morrowind does not hold your hand in any capacity. So in Morrowind, let's just start off with the music. It's a masterpiece. As always in every Elder Scrolls game, every music, every orchestra, everything is just on point. There is not a single musical piece in any Elder Scrolls game that is bad, and Morrowind is no exception. It is fantastic. The graphics are... well, you have to adjust to them, that is for sure. It has aged like milk. The Khajiit and Hargonians are so ugly that racism was hard-coded into the game for them. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, just play one of those. Hit tab to go into first person, or third person if you're playing on PC, and just walk around and enjoy that absolute abomination that you have just discovered, and enjoy. So yeah, the graphics, nothing to write home about. The story is absolutely immaculate. From the intro cinematic to the plot twist to the slow revelations and the inquiries of knowledge, up to you uncover, everything, every mystery you uncover, every mystery that's revealed is extremely satisfying and like a puzzle to solve. And in that story, the characters are where Morrowind really shines. Their personalities, their motives, what they tell you, the things that they do, and the things that they say. It's all amazing. And sadly, they're locked behind a word vomit library, as there is very little, if any at all, voice acting. There is a little voice acting for some characters, but it's usually just a sentence or two. And a lot of it is like, "Hey, Outlander, what are you doing here?" And it's like very sassy because you're not welcomed in Morrowind. So it's very short, very sassy dialogue for the most part. One of the biggest weaknesses is not necessarily Morrowind's fault, but being made in 2002, there were limitations, and it's unfortunate that the voice acting is so minimal and the text is so long-winded and so over-explanatory. And the reason for that is because it has to make up for knowledge that you need to know. And directions, with not having quest markers, they need to give you directions. Even though those directions themselves are kind of dog shit, they're not very good at telling you where to go, so honestly, you should get prepared to get lost very easy, which is something that I both like and hate. I hate getting lost, but I like that I stumble upon some really interesting side quests and characters because I got lost. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship in that particular sense. And one thing about Morrowind that it does really well with its story in particular is foreshadowing. It really makes the world feel alive and like you're just in the world and experiencing it as someone inside that universe. You're not a player, you're actually your character. And so there's so much foreshadowing and there's so much going on in the background, and as you slowly piece it together, it's amazing. And when you replay the game a second time, you'll notice all these things that the characters were telling you that you would have overlooked on your first playthrough, but once you play it a second time, you're like, oh, that's what leads into that, and that's how this affects that. And it just all clicks on your second playthrough. And I think that's very phenomenal, and that's really a good sign of writing, because you don't get it at first, but if you're perceptive enough, you would on your first playthrough. But if you don't get it, you'll definitely get it on your second one. And I definitely think that you should play this game more than once, because your skills and the type of character you build and even your race selection changes the game very dramatically in ways that it's hard to explain every single nuanced detail about that. But just trust me, a mage feels very different from a thief feels very different from a warrior, and a Khajiit plays totally differently from an Argonian. Argonian plays totally differently from Breton and High Elf and Dark Elf. They all feel really, really well established in terms of lore and their lore accuracy on what type of characters you build. And the world in Morrowind is actually pretty densely packed for a game made in 2002. There's quite a few side quests. There's quite a few things going on that you can just stumble upon. And there's actually a pretty, for a game in 2002, with the limitations it had on being on such old hardware and stuff, and having to rely on, mesh generation and things like that, there's actually quite a lot of stuff going on in the world. Now, it's definitely not as densely packed as Skyrim, for instance. Skyrim is insanely densely packed, and Oblivion is densely packed, but it's mostly like filler content, it feels like. Morrowind is, in between that, where the content that's there is really, really good, but it's not as densely packed as Skyrim, and so Skyrim has kind of spoiled us in that way. But anyways, that's pretty much my conclusion. That's pretty much everything I could think of to go over with Morrowind. Definitely, I recommend playing it. If you can get over the text vomit that my ADHD brain had a hard time, dealing with, if you can get over that and you can just play the game and enjoy it without voice acting or without quest markers, which, to be fair, it's not that big of a deal. People make it seem like it's a big deal. Look, you played Elden Ring without quest markers just fine, okay? Like, it's not that big of a deal. You don't need quest markers in a game. You can follow directions. Yeah, you might get lost a few times, but hey, that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun. So, anyways, I would give this game a solid 8 out of 10, which is actually 1 point higher than Oblivion, so I'd give it a B+, solely because I think the magic system, in particular, is really well done in this game, and I think everything was executed almost flawlessly. And in fact, if Morrowind got a remaster, it would probably be better than Skyrim. It would definitely be better than Skyrim. Morrowind Remaster would sell so well if everything was exactly the same, except updated to look more modern and have voice acting. I think if Bethesda did that, they would literally print money, because Morrowind is just absolutely phenomenal. And so I'll see you guys in the next video. Definitely recommend buying it. It's on sale on GOG for $5. It goes on sale regularly for $5, and at full price it's only $10. Absolute steal. 100% recommend picking it up and playing it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.